Hello again. Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Celestial Journey. Since last episode, it has been a bit, though I didn't get as much done as I was hoping to. I've actually been a little bit busy. Been basically, basically figuring out because if you guys have been on the channel for very long, you know I'm about to upgrade my PC. So I've been sorting that out and figuring out what I want to do and all that. And I'm still in the process of that at the moment. But anyways, I have done a bit of work around the base, and you'll notice over here I have set up a little flower field that I've been running through. Judging by the colors, you may know what I've been working on. But if we pop upstairs, I actually think I might need to restart my computer because I'm starting to get a little bit of lag. It's been on for a little bit, so I should probably restart it. After we do the quick intro and everything, I will do so. But anyways, I have kind of cleaned up here a little bit, or started to clean up. I still have to come through this and add a little bit of detail and maybe some, I don't know if I'll put flowers in the battle arena itself, but I do need to add some proper lighting and some things like that to this area up here. But I have started cleaning this up. Oh yeah, I need to restart. I can feel it. But anyways, over here, you'll notice that this is what I've been working on. I have been making endoflames, which is actually super quick with our sigil of holding. It does speed that process up a lot. But I ended up making 150, well, it's 150 endoflames in total. Of course, we had 16 that I had made the other day, and then I had quite a bit over here that was plugged up to that system that was over there. It's now gone. You notice the spreaders are gone. I did have one spreader left over from that system because I'm only currently running 5 spreaders on that. And then I moved our extra lens just over to here for right now. Ooh, this is drained. Ooh. I knew it was going to drain pretty quick because I unplugged all that and then I still had a little bit of setup to do. And I did add a Solignolia to this system, and I added a couple Solignolias over here as well, which they are just bound to nothing at the moment. So I'm not running them with mana. I'm just wanting them to, just do the smaller radius kind of thing. But this is a system that we're going to be setting up just really, really quick. I went ahead and ran a lot of the stuff because it's just another Endoflame system. It's pretty similar to the one that we set up before. This is just on a much larger scale. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. This will be the last thing that we do with Endoflames, but I want to have, at least most, if not all of the different generating flora represented across the base, because I know how much mana we're actually going to need for this base. It's going to be massive by the time it's all said and done. And I really wasn't happy with the Endoflame setup over there. It felt like a starter setup, and I didn't want it to always feel like a starter setup. So I've been working on putting together a proper Endoflame system. Now, I did remove the platforms because I decided that with this system, there really isn't any reason. I mean, it's just not logical to do mana on rails for this system. Originally, I was going to have it go up, and then it was going to come back down after it had either filled up or had drained all the mana along the way. But it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel logical to use it just to go up, down, and come around when I could just use a spark system, a very basic spark system to boot for this. So basically what I did was I made 3 dominant sparks here, and these are on Dreaming Mana Pools. Now that we have an Elven Gateway Portal, we can definitely pull off Dreaming Mana Pools, because a little bit of Terra Steel, you can make 3 per Terra Steel, so it's really, really cheap at this point. And Dreaming Mana Pools, they count as basically 2 mana pools in 1 block space. They have the storage of 2 mana pools. So you're looking at 2 million mana stored per block, which is quite nice. And then I've got just standard sparks up here. So, just standard sparks. And then I did make Gaia Spreaders. And each of these has 30 Endoflames tied to them. Technically, I could probably pull off a little bit more. And of course, if I move these spreaders closer, I could pull off even more. But with our recycled lenses, I was pretty happy with 30. And it's pretty easy to replicate. But I think you could probably push it to 32 without too much issue. So Gaia Spreaders, I did fight the Gaia again, but but we didn't technically have to. Gaia Spreaders just requiring Dragonstone and 1 Gaia Spirit, so they're actually really, really cheap. Honestly, for us at the moment, the most expensive part is the Elven Mana Spreader, not because of the Dreamwood, but because it does require a Nether Star right there. I did have to kill the Wither a few more times for that, but it was only like twice more. But I don't have any Nether Stars left at the moment, so I need to go kill him some more. But anyways, Gaia Mana Spreaders, at this point, they can move a lot more mana. It's a lot better for us. If you want to see the redstone work, if we pop down right here, this is the first part of the redstone work. So red string comparators underneath each pool they're reading from that pool. And basically, each one has a comparator with a potentiometer, and this is set to 14 is where I've got it. And that way, they almost fill up, but they don't necessarily have to fill all the way up. You know, not completely full. So basically, that way, there's still a bit of buffer, because if we're running 700% efficiency red coal through this, I need a little bit of breathing room between, you know, if it fills up right when it first eats pieces of coal on, say, all the endoflames, then I need some breathing room to kind of fill up, because this thing generates almost, probably, well, let's see. That was with 1 run of coal. I filled these 3 up to there. So, I mean, it's a lot of mana, so. But anyways, I got it set to 14, and then it just all runs through an AND gate from Project Red, which goes into then a wireless transmitter set to frequency 10. And that's all there is to the redstone down here. So, very, very simple setup, and it's pretty much identical to what we had over there, except the wireless transmitter, and we're running it all through an AND gate, because we're running it through 3 different mana pools. Now, this elevator is just temporary, just for convenience sake. But if we pop up here, this is where the wireless receiver then comes out. Set to frequency 10, of course. And basically it pulls, if the AND gate activates and it says, you know, okay, all 3 of these mana pools have reached the threshold, let's power down. It's going to emit a redstone signal to this hopper, which stops it dropping into this open crate. And I ran this just because I can actually make a turn with it, whereas the white insulated wire, I couldn't make a turn with it. Anyways, there's that. This is actually just for testing purposes, shutting it off. We're going to be using that here in just a second. And then the wire runs down, and it goes into this system right here. This is a Project Red integration repeater, and then a standard vanilla repeater. But the reason I've got this repeater here is because when this system first starts up, it's going to drop coal, and it's going to get eaten almost instantaneously for a minute. So there's really no reason for me to activate what we're going to be using to move the red coal. And then when the system powers off, I need it to keep pushing for a little bit longer, pushing the red coal down this line, which is just Alf glass right there. So it's going to keep pushing the red coal down that line for a little bit longer, and then finally shut off. That way I make sure that all the red coal that gets dropped by the open crate has time to completely exit the system before our movement system stops. You know, and it needs a little bit of time after the open crate stops dropping for it to have moved everything. And then over here, this is just a comparator line that comes out, that reads the hopper, and is going to, I've got this set to a 7. So once it's, you know, a little shy of halfway full, it's going to send a signal to the output node that's sitting down there, and it's going to stop outputting on that line. But there's another output node here, and we'll talk about why that is. So over here, up there, I've got a mini chest. I've got, right there, you can see a Hopper Hawk Petite. And I did go ahead, and I crafted this up a Mana Seer Monocle. Sadly, it does conflict with the Gluttony Charm, so I've got to switch them off. So I don't wear it all the time. But the, it's going to be hard to see it unless I go up here. Actually, I think it's going to be hard to see it unless I build up at this point. I had it set up so I could get on top of this stuff, but now I can't get on top of it very easily. But anyways, the Hopper Hawk Petite only covers about a 3x3 range. So basically it's just big enough to catch the back end of this Alf glass. So that's why I went with the petite. I don't want it to cover a lot of space. I just want it to cover basically just right around it. And right now I've got it set to only pick up items that are in frames, because we only want it to pick up the items that are in the frames. And what we're going to be doing, pop over to here, let's grab ourselves a piece of red coal. And you can see we've got a 700% current efficiency boost on that, of course. And what we're going to do is we are just going to put it on our... Okay, so if we put that onto there, that's all I wanted to pick up is just red coal. And I'm using a mini chest, less of a footprint, only accepts a stack, and that's really all that we need on that. Okay, so what we're going to do, I went ahead and set all this up because, like I said, it's pretty basic, pretty straightforward, I think. And what we're going to do is we're going to take... nope. I was connecting up our ore processing system to the sorting system, and I think I still had one saved or something. So we're going to connect it to this master node. We're going to make two little sub-networks. This is our red coal recycle line. And so what we're going to do is this is going to come over to this output routing node. So that way that any red coal that gets picked up there at the end by the hopper hawk, this is just to make sure that we don't leave entities in the world, but we don't have to use like a precise dropping system that, you know, is over-engineered for an endoflame system, because there's a lot of variables running 5 spreaders, 5 pulls, 150 endoflames. It would be hard, I think, to probably get it super exact so it doesn't drop more than what's needed, unless, you know, we use something to, I don't know, detect it, because we're going to have moving red coal throughout this whole system. So, but if I put that into there, it's going to get pulled out. It's going to get sent over to that hopper. It's basically all that does, and it just recycles it through. And that's why the comparator is shutting off this one, because this one's going to be connected. Then we're going to grab that. It's going to connect to that node, which is then going to connect over to this system. There we go. That's connected. And it should be feeding over some red coal for us. So if we pop over here and we take a look, there we go. It's put 3 stacks in there, but it's not going to put any more. The rest of that is space for recycle, which there should always be plenty of space, I think, with 2. Realistically, I could probably set it... Realistically, I could probably set it to, say, a 4. Yeah, it's going to feed over an extra stack, or just 2 stacks. So I think that's probably good, like a 4. 2 stacks comes from that system, and up keeps it at 2 stacks, then the rest goes through here. And so what we're going to do, then, I think that's all the movement stuff. And if you guys have any questions about this system, do let me know, but I think all this is pretty straightforward. Of course, these, you just set it to a frequency and they connect. You know, if you have a frequency 10 receiver in the world and you have a frequency 10 transmitter in the world, they're going to connect. One thing I do want to do is I want to set the frequency name to we'll just call it Endoflame System, actually. So there we go. Set the name. And I believe that should set it to this one as well. Take a look here. Yeah, Endoflame System. And that way, if we're setting up other stuff, we know that frequency 10 is the Endoflame System, not to use it for something else. Is the main reason for that. And so then all we have to do is just release this lever, I think. I think everything's ready to run at the moment. Oh, duh. One thing I didn't do. Yeah, there we go. It's going to pick them up. Let's see. They weren't picking up immediately. It's probably because they were stacking. I imagine so. I might have to see how this works out with our system. But my idea is what we're going to do is we're going to use a floating daffo meal to move our items. Now this thing does consume a very small amount of mana, but it is very, very minute. If I release the redstone signal now, that is not moving. Probably because it's stacking, if I had to guess. There we go. It's off. Now it's working right. So maybe it's going to build up a stack whenever it first fires, and then it's going to run appropriately. But you can see the red coal is kind of making its way down here, and it is going to reach a point where it starts getting recycled by the hopper hawk. But that's okay. 700 efficiency does run for a little bit, but it doesn't run for an extreme amount of time. So I think this is pretty cool. And it's a little bit more fun than just dropping it onto a pressure plate, I think. The only concern is it seems like these endoflames... Oh, they're activated. Yeah, they're burning. Okay, okay. So it's all good. Yeah. Okay, all of them are burning. Awesome. I tested a little bit of this in my test file, but then I was like, I think this will work, but I was hoping I didn't make a mistake somewhere and it's just not going to work. But it's, yeah, it seems like it's working pretty well. And all of these are running, and they should be... Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of mana that builds up, but it fires off pretty well. Gaia Spreaders actually move quite a lot at once. So, this should be good, I think. And this is actually going to generate a lot of mana. Like, very, very quick. And, of course, using Sparks is instantaneous transfer. Sparks, of course, having a kind of a priority system. Recessive means it's going to give its mana to anything that's not recessive. Dominant means it's going to take mana from anything that's not dominant. And dispersive means it's going to spread it out. We'll be getting into a bit with dispersive, actually, because it's a super, super useful spark augment to have. But dominant and recessive are your two main priority systems. And then, of course, standard sparks follow those rules. So they take mana from recessive, they give them to dominant sparks. So you could say that's building up at a very good rate. I think that's a whole lot better than our original Endoflame system. Still not anything great. It's not going to be enough to power our base by any stretch of the imagination. But I figured it would be a little bit more fun, and it's kind of cool to watch run, I think. To watch it come down through here. I could probably move the Hopper Hawk over by 1 or something. But honestly, since these are catching it, I mean, the Endoflame's range is pretty decent. But yeah, so this is... I think this is going to work out good for us. I just wanted to make something that's Endoflame related for you guys that do like Endoflames, other than just a starter setup. So I think this is pretty good. Plus, it was extremely cheap to build, to be honest. So I was like, I want more mana, but I don't want to spend a lot of resources. And this was perfect. Because a lot of the better... ones are going to require runes. And I really don't want to do that until I have runes auto-crafted. But I need more mana, so I was like, okay, this is the way to go. Okay, but yeah, I think that's good. And then what we'll do is this one here, I'm going to bind. This is going to forever just be dedicated to our mana mirror. So you can see it looks like this is about full. Even though this is only about half full, but bear in mind that this is 2 mana pools. The mana mirror is only going to read it as 1 mana pool, but it's going to be forever full. Our mana mirror is going to be forever full as long as it's over halfway full on our dreaming mana pool. So just bear that in mind, because this does have the 2 pool storage in it. So, and then these have the 2 pool. Honestly, there's really no point at this point not to go with the dreaming mana pool because they're just so cheap, you know, by comparison. So, yeah, so that's in place. I think it's good. And it didn't cost me anything more than just a whole bunch of petals, some coal, some Inferium, which I have a farm for, and prosperity shards. So, it really wasn't even that many prosperity shards. So, a little over 100 isn't bad, because I'm not using them a ton anyways. Now, we are going to have to boost the production of red coal. It's not a super priority for us right this second. I did add a storage upgrade. You can see we do have a bit of red coal in here. And it's really not going to eat red coal that fast, but I do want to start upgrading our speed upgrades into the magical upgrades, and then of course from there into the ultimate upgrades. But it's not a super rush for us at the moment. And really I don't know that we'll even need ultimate upgrades. Honestly, I'm thinking magical's probably enough, which is actually pretty cheap to make via the enchanter. So, but anyways, with that, I'm gonna restart my computer real quick. I'll be back. And then we'll get into a bit more of what we're going to be doing today. And just something nifty, if you watch the mana mirror thing, I didn't even realize this was a thing, to be honest. Yeah, right there. The bar just increased in size. And you'll notice that this has changed from blue to pink. So it must be a thing with Botanic Editions um, that the Dreaming Mana Pool actually links with the Mana Mirror really, really nicely to where you end up with like a special Mana Mirror that has access to the full 2. I don't know if that's a recent... I could have swore it only did half the pull, but it was basically like having 2 pulls. It just registered as half the pull. But it does look like it's going to register as 2 pulls before it's all said and done with. So that's kind of nifty, actually. But anyways, I'm going to restart real quick. I'll be back. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, this is powered by redstone. So that's why we've got this. And basically it just shuts off the Daffodil. Whenever it gets redstone, whenever those fill up. That way we're not wasting mana to run the Daffodil. Because it does have that very small drain. It's not much. But I figure I should mention that. That's what that's for. Basically any flower that takes a redstone root is toggleable with redstone. So that's why we have this little system over here. Okay, and I went ahead and removed the repeater on this side because I got to thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. It really isn't going to help at all. It's just going to shut the flower off prematurely, and I don't know. They were basically counteracting each other. I got to thinking, it was a long day yesterday, and I've now slept since then, but yeah, so. Oh, and I did forget to mention there is an alchemy catalyst over here. It's not showing up, but yeah, there's an alchemy catalyst down there. Oh, now it's showing up. But I really just made that to make petite flowers, but there is a lot of other uses for it that we'll get into later. But for right now, it's just for making our petites. Okay, and we'll come back to check on this in a little bit, see how it's doing. If you're worried about the entities in the world, it's not really a big concern because there's only about 10 out at a time. So I think it is okay. I mean, you could set it to like a timer, like a time drop, so there's a less overflow, but I kind of like that almost production line, kind of system that's going on here. And then once we're happy with this, I will remove these elevators because, like I said, they're not really intended to stay here permanently, but more as just an easy way of transport between the two. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, and I don't know if this will end up being split into 2 parts because we do have a lot I want to cover. We'll see. We're going to start moving into a bit of automation today. And I've decided that I think I like using the node system for keeping things stocked. It works pretty well. At least for most things, we're going to be using the node system to kind of help out our corporea system because I think it's going to be less. It's going to be less redstone, which I think in essence, especially with the amount that we're going to need a lot of this stuff, it's going to be less stress on our pack for us. So, because we do have a lot of redstone to do within this series. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab ourselves a couple things. I think what we're going to start with first off today is we're going to do a bit of blood magic automation. Show it on camera. How this works. And I want to basically make it so it's a whole lot easier to make spreaders so I don't have to do all this manually because this is horrible having to craft this. They're not expensive to make. There's just a lot of steps involved. And I want to make some ways to make that easier for us. So the first thing we need to do is automate simple stimulant. So we're going to need gunpowder, we're going to need sugar, glowstone, redstone, and bronze. So there's those four for us. And then I've got this right here. And we're going to make ourselves a corporea cube. Another one of these. I'm going to go ahead and grab a simple stimulant also. And so what we're going to do, and I'm going to have to make some nodes. I forgot about that. So what we're going to do, we're going to set up, this is where we're going to be automating our simple stimulant. And let me get a precise filter also. Precise item filter. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're going to take one of these. And, oh, let's see. I believe side is input. bottom is output, if I recall. So, yeah, I'll tell you what we can do. We can do output routing node here. And we're going to have, this is going to be on the north side. So on the north side, we're going to say precise filter. And we're going to say gunpowder, keep 64 in there. Redstone, keep 64 in there. Glowstone, keep 64 in there. Sugar, keep 64 in there. And then bronze blend, keep 64 in there. And then what we're going to do is on the east side, we're going to put another precise filter in here. And we're going to say bone meal. Now some of this stuff I don't have automated right now, but we'll get that automated later. And then nether wart, stack of each in there. And then we'll go ahead and throw those in there. We're going to add simple stimulant to that because this one's for advanced stimulant. But I'm going to leave this as is for now. And I'm going to leave those blood orbs in there. And we're going to put an input routing node here. And we're going to take and we're going to bind this. I'm going to bind it over to this master routing node. Now I've got to look and see, is it going to pull out the items? Because if it is, I've got to filter this input node. No, it looks like it's not. Okay. Yeah, I think if you put an input node on this side, it will access these. But if you put it on the bottom, it's only going to access the output. These are very side specific. I don't remember exactly which all sides do which. But I believe it is the sides handle this. The bottom handles the output item that goes here. And then the top handles, I think, these two slots or something like that. But I haven't automated one of these since SevTech, so it's been a little bit. But I think that was the last time I automated one. But anyway, so that's plugged up. And this is going to be ran on some redstone. We'll get into that here in just a second. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to make just a few more nodes up real quick. And I'll be back here in just a moment. Okay, I got us 10 input, 10 output, and 2 masters in addition to this input. That should do us pretty good for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, go ahead and grab these. And we've got output node there. I'm going to put a input over on this side. And we'll go ahead and grab that connection. And we're going to attach it right up here, just kind of for looks. And connect that over. And then we're going to connect it to, see, that's our controller slave. Let's go ahead and do an input node here that connects there. And I think that's enough for right this second. But then what we're going to do is we're going to pop up here and we're going to plug it up to this output. We'll go ahead and plug it up right there. So yeah, there we go. You can see everything has filled out now. I did slot sugar just over in the mob farm because it's kind of coming from the mobs, you know. So those are slotted. And then if we run this, we should say it makes a simple stimulant. And let's see, that's not getting pulled out at the moment. Let's pull this off. Let's try in this slot. I just realized I need to put a node. I haven't put a node on this controller slave yet. So we're going to put a output node here. And then our simple stimulant should get pulled out. Yeah, it does. Okay, great. Alright, so that is working. Now one thing I need to do is I actually realized I need to blacklist this side. So we're going to say on the east side, and the way we're going to blacklist is we're going to say you can take broken stone mattocks. Oh, by the way, I did make a rod of the shifting crust as well. So this thing basically uses mana, and it's an exchange scepter, so I can switch out blocks easily while building. I went ahead and made that while I was up there working. So, but yeah, so there we go. There's that. And then we just have to... One thing I do want to do is I want to limit this just a little bit. Because remember, we don't want items going into the system. Anything setting in machines long term, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say... We're actually just going to set this to 1 in all these slots, I think. So now if I was to... it didn't have a whitelist there for a minute, so I don't want to blacklist that. And we can blacklist that. So nothing can go in this slot. And it's going to put 1 glowstone, 1 sugar, 1 gunpowder, 1 redstone, and 1 bronze blend in this at a time, and then it's going to craft. Actually, let's set it to 2 of each. Okay, so there we go. That way it's got 1 backed up so that it's got to craft with, I think is all I want to do. And just popped up here to take a look, and it looks like this system has stopped. These mana pools are backed up, even though we set them to 14 because there would be overflow. And you can see there's a little bit of mana backed up in this system here. Not a whole lot. We could read off of these pools, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't really want to store a bunch of mana in that because it'll go to a mana battery, you know, after that. So you can see our mana mirror has this like weird bar, and it's blue again. I don't know. It like runs off the thing. I don't know. So strange. Okay, well anyways, we've got that plugged up. Okay. I went ahead and just restarted my computer and left it off all night and slept. But anyways, we're up to here. The next thing that I would like to do is let's go ahead and take our bronze and we're just going to add this. Well, I'm going to add... or do I want to wait? Let's wait. Let's wait until we get it all up and running. What we're going to do next, though... Let's get ourselves 10 redstone. It's more than what I need, but it's a good starting point. Let's go ahead and take that. And let's see. I'm going to set this up. And I am going to need a red string comparator also. And I'll get one of those made up here in just a second. But there's our input node. And right underneath, right above this is our... Right above this is our output node. And so what I want to do, let's see. Yeah, let me go ahead and get the red string comparator real quick. Yeah, I'm still getting a bit of lag though. I'm going to have to, I mean, that's a lot of the reason, you know, I'm upgrading my computer because of stuff like this. So I can do big builds and it not be an issue. But what we're going to do over here, we're going to set up our crystal cube right there. And we're going to put in simple stimulant into this. And let's change that back to simple stimulant. Shift right click. There we go. So that's connected up. It sees that we have 34 simple stimulant in the system. And then what we're going to do is, that would be the 1, 2, 3, 4 over. Should be this one here. So if we put the red string comparator there, and we put a comparator coming out there, yeah, you can see we've got redstone. Right now it's a redstone power of 6. And I think we're going to go with 8 on the potentiometer again for this. So we'll say you need a redstone value of 8, which of course is 2 stacks with our crystal cubes. And then we'll just run this. It's basically going to go right up to here. It needs to shut off this output node once it reaches the threshold. And I might bump these up to say 6. Yeah. The changeover is quick enough that nothing got more than what it needed in there. This should be fine. Because I'm going to have like 3 more red string comparators over here reading different things. But I should be able to set that up without issues. So then what we'll do, I guess instead of running a torch tower, we'll just facade this. And we'll say that you can output on the red signal. And we'll just run this down. And then we can connect this with, I'll just use regular redstone, that should be fine. And input on red. Okay, so once this fills up the threshold, then it should stop crafting. So, and it doesn't matter if there's a bit of overflow, because we've only set it to 2 stacks and we're storing 4 stacks. And we can always increase, once again, we can always increase that threshold later on. Now, one thing I do want to do is bronze blend. I want to put this, I want to slot this in, like, say, right here, because this is actually something that we'll want to keep stocked in the metal area. And we're going to be automating the creation of that bronze blend for our simple stimulants. I don't know if we'll do it this episode because I want to do that as part of the machine room. But yeah, you can see it's crafting simple stimulants at the moment. It's pumping that bronze in, and it should keep it stocked for us. So, and then we'll be automating the bronze blend, but we'll also be automating these 4 materials, because once again, these all come from witches, and so we'll be automating those here pretty soon. I'm just gonna get mana moved a bit more sorted out. So, I'll go ahead and put this back. The next stimulant I'm not as worried about. We can get to that one just in a little bit. But if we take another look at our spreaders, the other big thing that we're going to need is vitriol. The rest of the stuff, we are going to automate empty bases, Eden arrows, and the bloodstone tiles. But the vitriol is redstone, gunpowder, cyclops eyes, glowstone, and then that simple stimulant. So for this, what we're going to do, let's get ourselves another crystal cube and another comparator. I'm going to need another red string comparator also. Okay, so there's our crystal cube, and then there's our red string, and then our red string comparator. Okay. These are pretty cheap little setups to do for the stocking, I think, because these will all be basically 2 networks, one inputting, one outputting across all of these. So this comparator is going to set 1 block above. Let me rotate this. There we go. I want it facing up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our comparator readout of this side. Like so. And then, let's see. Let's set this to, this one can be a little bit lower. Let's do, we'll start with a stack on vitriol. We'll go with 2 stacks on simple stimulants, a stack on vitriol. Later on, we may have to boost that, but I don't know. Certain ones are used for in-game, certain ones aren't. So, but we're going to go with that. And then what we're going to do is the crystal cube. Actually, I should probably just go ahead and remove this again. Makes it a little bit easier to bounce back and forth. Should probably set up like a ladder or something. Let's see, this crystal cube is going to sit right here. And I'm actually going to move this and this over to here. We'll automate heavy stimulant over here. Vitriol is going to go here. Okay, so for, let's see, for vitriol, let me order a redstone, a gunpowder, cyclops eye, glowstone, simple stimulant. These are the things that we will be needing. That. Okay. And it looks like we're out of bronze blend right now. I'll have to make some more of that until we get it automated, and then it'll run through. And basically it'll put 6 in here, and then once it's full up on simple stimulant, it's just going to stop sending items. It'll finish off those crafts, and then it should be good. The only issue that I'm thinking of, which we'll just have to see once we set it up, once bronze blend is set up, if it crafts and then maybe puts some items in here before it shuts. Well, no, it shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that. So yeah, that should be good as long as it keeps it at about 6. Okay, so over here, let's set up a output node. It sits right there. Let me grab a precise item filter. I don't know if it's going to try and automatically input into the mortar. It probably will, if I had to guess. So I'm going to have to put a filter on there to blacklist, basically, anything from going through there. But let's go ahead, we'll add that, and we'll add in our materials here for vitriol. And I'm just going to say keep like 6 of each of these in here too. Go. And let me go ahead and just craft up a vitriol, because I don't think that I've got any at the moment. And we're going to go ahead and just slot that into there. And vitriol should already be slotted, so let me go put this into the drawers real quick. It is. And then we'll just shift right click. There we go. We have 1 vitriol in the system at the moment. Then what we're going to do is, let's see, it'll be there. There is the alchemy table. I'm going to go ahead and put our input routing node here. And I'm just going to bind it over. It should never be turned off, so we're going to just bind it to this one. And then we're going to just run our redstone. Yeah, this will probably be the last one that we set up on camera, but we are going to have to get all of these automated. So just a heads up there. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to run our redstone up. That's input on the red. We'll just do that. So then whenever this goes off, you should shut this off. So I think we set that to a 7, so yeah, that's plenty to get it up there. Alright, so that should work, and then I just have to plug up that node and then see if the I've got to see if the if it's going to try to send stuff to the mortar. Probably will, but we'll find out. And don't forget, we can't run these output nodes through each other over here, and that's because the a lot of these will be toggled on and off with redstone, so yeah, it got sticks in here, but that is okay. We shall deal with that. So, are you shy? You don't want to put your items in here, or... Oh, you know what? Derp. I just plugged it up to the wrong system entirely. And we'll just plug it up right there. And that's pretty much like our filtered output system from our drawers. Basically for stocking, everything's going to be redstone controlled from that. So, yeah, you can see it's dumped these into there. Simple stimulant it has not yet. That's because I don't have an input from that system. We're going to set that up in just a moment. Now, one thing I do just want to do really, really quick is one precise item filter. There we go. And this is on the north side. And there we go. You can only move stone mattocks into this, so that should take care of that. And they've got to be broken stone mattocks and all that. Basically the one that I carry around for silk touching. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves input node on this. And we'll just plug that up. And it should begin running vitriol for us. Now there's probably enough simple stimulant in the system to actually power down vitriol. Yeah, we've got 2 in there, 3 in there. There we go. It is crafting away. And we should be able to see through this one what it's going to do as it powers off. So, and then from there, it's this stuff. Okay, but you can see that this has stopped. It got up to 64. It shut everything down. It ran through the rest of the ingredients that were in there, and then it powered itself off. So, I think that's going to work for us pretty well. Now this one does have some stuff backed up. That's of course because it doesn't have enough bronze blend to finish the request. I'll manually make bronze blend a bit of it, but then we're going to be automating that whenever we automate machines. It's really, really simple to do. Okay, now I'll tell you what, since the next thing that we're going to be working on is this. We're going to be automating so that if we request, I'm probably not going to keep them stocked, I don't think. No, there's not much point. We'll use a lot of particle generators for decor once we get up to some Thaumcraft. We'll be making a lot of spreaders, but I don't see any reason, like as far as late game goes or anything, probably to have this really like stocked. I think it'll just be a request item that we have, because it'll craft it pretty quick, especially having the vitriol already crafted up. It's basically just craft these two, which is one craft, craft that, and then craft it all together. Invar will stay stocked, glass will stay stocked, quartz glass, all that stuff will be pretty much stocked. So I think this won't be too bad. So we're going to be working on that next, which is finally, I know we've been talking about it, proper corporea crafting. We did the Cyclops eyes. I don't really count those. That's just dump a bunch of stuff in a crafty crate and it pops out. But we're going to be doing some proper corporea crafting and setting up so that now this will be the first thing that we can go to our corporea network, type in, and say, I want this, and it's going to send it to us. But we don't really have time to start that today, realistically. Otherwise, the episode's going to run pretty long. So I think this is just going to be a shorter episode. We got started into Blood Magic automation. I'll keep expanding on this, and just basically I'll be automating things in here as I need them, sort of thing. Because realistically, it only takes a second to set this up, set automation up for this room. It actually doesn't take us all that long. More than anything, it's really just the component parts that make up certain things that is going to take us, any kind of time, and we'll be automating. Most of that stuff is like machine-based and different things and resources, so... But yeah, so I'm going to get the rest of the stuff together that I think we're going to need for crafting next episode. And then I'm probably going to start recording that pretty quick because I'm ready to get that set up so I can order lots and lots of spreaders. And then from there, we'll move on to sparks and different things that we need. And I also want to get capacitors automated here pretty quickly as well because I want to get jetpacks, but I don't want to have to craft every piece manually for four to, I don't know. We're going to need a lot of these silly jetpacks. Like Flux Infused, Tier 5, and then the other Tier 5, we're going to need one of each for the Flugel Tiara. We're going to need one of each for the Angel Ring, and then we're going to need two of each for the Creative Jetpack. So in total, across the pack, we need 4 of each. It's not terrible, but, well, actually, I think we need more of these, though, don't we? If I recall. Yeah, Creative Jetpack. 1 for the flux capacitor, but then you need 4 flux capacitors for the creative energy cell. But that's a long ways down the road, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, so I want to get at least some of those parts automated, especially like machine frames and stuff like that, because we're going to need them for flux fields. And so we're going to be spending probably the next few episodes. We'll break it up somewhere along the way with moving mana down to the prison and doing a bit with mob spawning. But the next few episodes, we are going to be covering automation. And I'm going to spend, like I said, I'm going to spend a few episodes over the course of the series. We're going to be doing a bit of it on camera because I know it's corporea crafting automation is a whole lot different, a whole lot more fun than AE2 crafting automation. It's a whole lot more involved. I think with AE2, it's generally more work, albeit really, really easy. It's generally more work to do processing patterns than it is to do crafting patterns. Botania, with the way that we're setting most of our stuff up, it's the opposite. Our processing stuff's pretty easy because we use the nodes to kind of just read redstone and keep things stocked. Of course, most of our stuff is stocked things. But our crafting, a little bit more effort. It's really easy, though, I promise. It's not as daunting as, I think, a crafty crate's not as daunting as a lot of people think it is. I actually automated a dire crafty crate in my test world with no issues whatsoever. It was actually extremely easy. It's a big setup, but it's extremely easy to do, in all honesty. So, yeah, next episode, we'll be spending pretty much the whole episode setting up crafty crates and doing some automation for crafting recipes. So, and then we can get really advanced with it with things like the Frame Tinkerer. That thing helps a ton with automation. Also, Redstone Liars work great with automation. So we'll be using a bit of those things. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know it was a little bit shorter today, but I think it's best that we stop it here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, be sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. Stay updated with when new videos come out, and I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.